Hey, what's up, YouTubers? It's Quiet John here. I know I'm a little bit out of persona with this talking piece, but I just have to tell you something happened to me. I can't believe it 3 times today, and I just had to share it with you and help you to prevent it happening from yourself to yourself. Okay, see this lure right here? This is a Strike King red-eyed shad, ½ ounce, Delta red, and it's the 2-tap, tungsten 2-tap. You can hear it sound. Okay, so this is just a stock hooks. Now normally, I gotta tell you this. Normally, let me set a little background. Okay, so anyway, this lure was in a giant bass's mouth 3 times today, and I could not land the fish. Okay, and I'll go into the story about it. Okay, let me set a little background. All right, normally I replace the hooks on these because over time I like a little better quality hook, a little bit bigger hook, because in the past I've lost some big fish on it, right? But anyway, I didn't replace hooks on this one, and let me tell you why. See, like, all of my tackle has been shipped off to a foreign country, where I will be following very soon, and it's going to be kind of a surprise for you. I'll make an announcement later, and you'll see where my next, maybe in the month of March, where my next fishing video happens. All right, but anyway, so all my tackle, okay, all my baits, all my lures, plastics, terminal gear, it's all been shipped off. So I wanted to keep fishing this month. I'm off this month basically, before I head off, and I wanted to keep fishing, right? And half my poles are gone too. I could ship anything. I could ship stuff that was like up to 7 feet long. So that's about half my poles are longer than that, and half are shorter than 7 feet or shorter. So half my poles are gone. So because I wanted to keep fishing this month, what I did was look at my photos. I always take photos with my fish, and a lot of times I'll include the lure in the photo so I can see, just for record, what I caught the fish on at that time of the year and in that location. So I put together I have like one tray here and maybe a couple other like small trays of stuff I just like kind of bought to fish for this February and the first like maybe week of March. So and what I've caught a lot of my fish on throughout my serious bass fishing period, which is maybe like the last 3 years. I've bass fished all my life, but in my adult life, where like money isn't so much of an object, and I can buy what I want to try to catch fish, up to a point. I don't like to go crazy, but what I found is this lipless crankbait is one of the best things for me. I've caught a lot of fish on lipless crankbaits. I like this. This is the Strike King red-eyed shad, right? And this is the Delta red model, and it's the ½ ounce. I also like this one in the 3/4 ounce, a little bit bigger one. Okay, and they don't have the 2-tap. Okay, so it's got more of the standard rattles in it, but that's okay. It works. Okay. And then I like, what do they call this? Sexy golden shad or something like that. That one in a ½ ounce. And I also like that one in, And I also like it in the 3/4 ounce. You see the size difference in these. Sometimes just, again, I get the 2-tap. I like the 2-tap. This one's not a 2-tap, okay? But I just couldn't find it in 2-tap. But there's a size comparison. Those always work well for me. And then one other one that really works good for me is this kind of natural shad color. And you see his eyes aren't red either. But this one comes in a 2-tap. You hear that? All right, and another type of lipless crank that I like is the 6 cents Thud 70, and I like that one a lot too. It has like a knocker in it also, and I like it in the natural shad colors. That one works the best for me. And you can see in some of my videos I'm throwing that a lot. In fact, I'll put a picture up of it. I think I hold one up one time. I catch a lot of fish on that. Probably this natural shad color and that 6 cents Thud natural shad color. I've caught a lot of fish on there. I'm telling you, this Delta Red, of course, is good too at certain times. Like a lot of times I'll switch them out throughout the day and just try them, okay? So let me lay the groundwork on what happened. All right, I was fishing today. This is Sunday, yeah. So I fished Thursday and Friday, and I got skunked. I went Thursday. I went to the place I went today, okay, but the water was way muddier, and something else changed too. I'll tell you in a minute. The water was super muddy because I think earlier in the week it rained like all day, so it just turns these impoundments into just like a muddy mess. So I fished it hard though all day. I tried everything, you know. I tried my whole regime of things that I have, and I mean, I tried I tried a spinner bait, you know. I tried crankbaits that have worked in the past, real bright knocker crankbaits. I tried on the bottom with jigs. I tried it with Cincos. I tried a Ned rig. I tried Nico rig. You know, all these things, these tricks that I've done in the past in the winter to get fish. This one works good for me too in the winter, but not in the muddy water. This is a jerk bait. I think this is a Lucky Craft pointer. I think it's around a 65 or 75 size. But this has worked well for me, but not in muddy water though. I mean, but anyway, so I tried everything. I was skunked. I went to the place I went today, and I went to another place on Friday. I tried a different place where the water seemed to be cleared up a little more, and I still was skunked. I think I threw some. I mean, I was trying just to get anything, right? I mean, I threw my crappie rig, and I think I got a couple pull downs, but it's like they just didn't commit to it. So anyway, so I'm coming off of like a 2-day skunk. Yesterday, I took a break. I went skiing with family, and so I headed out there today because I saw on my phone that they had put trout back into this lake. They a lot of times they'll stock this lake with trout, and they did like a pre-season stocking of trout. All right, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll throw a couple trout lines out, trout pulls with just like a floating dough bait on a slip sinker rig right off the bottom, and I just let the trout catch themselves basically. And so with 2 pulls I'll do that, and then with my 3rd pull I'm sitting over there doing bass fishing. Okay, so so, you know, the trout basically catch themselves on those rigs. I have put little bells on there, and so I can run over there when I need to. So anyway, I'm fishing for the bass. Like I said, I have a little different setup of my rods. I don't have like everything is not ideal like I like it, right? Because half my equipment's gone. But I've got this like medium heavy. I know it's kind of heavy. I mean, it's a medium heavy, and I'm throwing this lipless crank on it, and I think I have like about, I think this is like about 12-pound fluorocarbon on it, on a what's this, a 7.3, yeah, medium heavy, and this is a Veritas, you know, Abu Garcia Veritas, and I'm my reel here is a Abu Garcia Pro Max, and I've done, you know, I've upgraded the handle on it. I've had it for a long time, so a lot of times what I'll do is I freshen it up by upgrading the handle, and I also put, at one point I put, I've got these 3 bearings that are in here on the spool. I put those to ceramic bearings. So this actually throws really good, throws really nice. Anyway, now normally I fish this type of lure with the treble hooks on it on like a medium or even a medium light, okay, because I don't want to rip the treble hooks out of the fish's mouth, right? And you know, but this is a pretty thin. This is a pretty thin medium heavy, okay? It's on the light side of medium heavy, whatever. But whatever. It's got a very light tip on it. So I start throwing this Delta Red out there, and I think on my first session, a lot of times I'll go 10. I'll throw like 10 times, and then I'll try to switch it up to another bass bait, right? Bass lure or bass bait. I bring several rods out with me. I think if you see my other videos on my kayak, you'll see I've got a lot of rods on my kayak, and I do the same thing off the shore. Again, by the way, I'm shore fishing. Okay. I've got the trout rods set in little holders that stick into the ground, you know, and they're just sitting there out there. So anyway, I think I'm halfway into my 10 throws of this, and I'm ripping it through I'm casting out to 7 feet of water, and then there's sparse weeds out there. Okay, it's not super weedy, like just pure weeds, you know, but there's sparse weeds out. It's, you know, and I would say they're like a foot off, from a foot off the bottom to 2 feet to, you know, the 3 feet off the bottom, and I'm in 7 feet of water. So I'm ripping this thing through those. If it hits the weeds, I'm ripping it through the weeds. So I get it about halfway in, and I'm ripping it through some weeds, and something hits it right there, right in the weeds. Okay, because I know this because when I got the lure back, it still had weeds on it. Okay, and it had been in a fish's mouth. So I remember when this one hit, I wasn't sure. I had to like look at the tip of the rod to see if it was moving or not, and it was moving. So because I thought maybe I just had the weeds. Okay, it wasn't like I hit the weeds and then it got through the weeds and then something hit it. It seems like it all happened at the same time. So I had the I always keep the you know, when I'm throwing a treble bait or treble hook bait, I always keep the drag pretty light. So I don't rip it out of the fish's mouth, right? And so this thing starts pulling a drag on me, okay? So I'm trying to thumb it and pull him in a little, and then I decide I better tighten the drag up, and I think I tightened it too much, and then I jerked it out of its mouth, okay? Or it came out of the fish's mouth. And I wrote that one off to like, oh, he probably didn't get a good hit on it because it was because when I pulled it up, it still had weeds on it, okay? So anyway, but that was like, I was happy. I'm like, oh man, I've had like, you know, 2 days of pure skunk, and I was really trying hard on those 2 days. I fished the morning session, went to lunch, and I fished all afternoon, and I got nothing. Okay, so I was real happy to get this one bite here, and it felt like a good fish. So then I'm running back and forth. I ended up catching 4 trout. I've got 3 of them are alive, and 1 died, and I've filleted it already, or, you know, I've cleaned it already. But 3 are still alive in my little portable live well. And I was thinking of going tomorrow and trying to get some more trout and then have a fish fry tomorrow. But anyway, so I'm running back and forth between catching the trout and then setting the rods back up for the trout and then going over and bass fishing, right? Just the next little opening between trees. So I think I tried different baits, you know what I mean? I tried some different things. I tried bottom fishing. Again, I told you all the things I tried. So then none of that stuff worked, right? So then I go ahead and I went back to this. And this, again, this is the actual lure, okay? And so I'm throwing it again, and I get another, almost in the same place. Oh, yeah, pretty much in the same place. I pull through some weeds. It gets past the weeds, and something grabbed it, right? And I'm like pulled hard on it. I wanted to get a good hook set this time. And anyway, so I'm actually got this thing, and I'm fighting it. I'm fighting this thing. It will not come in, okay? It won't come in. It's that big, okay? And I couldn't pull it up, and it wouldn't come in. So so I'm like, okay, what should I do here? You know, I don't want to pull it out of its mouth again, right? And so I said, okay, I'll play it. I'll loosen the drag up and let it run around and play it. But also in my mind, I'm thinking of, you know, and everybody knows who largemouth bass fishes, the longer you let a lure stay in a largemouth bass's mouth, the more of a chance it is that he's going to throw it, right? So that's running through my mind too. So I'm playing with it. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get it. I don't have a net or anything. I'm hoping I can get it close to the shore and grab it, right? I've got like a riprap rocks right on the shore there. But I've pulled fish in there, big fish in there from there before. But so I don't have a net or anything. And this is a big fish. When I say a big fish, I mean I've easily pulled in like a 5-pounder, like no problem, right? This thing won't like come in, like it won't. I can't get it to come to the shore. It doesn't want to come to shore, and I can't get it to come to the shore, you know. And I'm thinking, I mean, I'm thinking I could just pull as hard as I can, right? But I'm going to pull it out of its mouth, that kind of a thing, right? So finally, the thing changes. Direction, and in my lure, I feel the lure come out of its mouth, and I'm like, dang, man. And I can't believe that happened again, you know, or, you know, that first thing was real. So anyway, I was really excited about that. Anyway, so then it's like a couple hours later, I've tried other things again. I've tried other bass stuff. I've caught more trout. You know, trout are like biting, like I'm getting like about one an hour. I'm thinking, you know, it's funny. Here's how I think that the trout work when they had just put these trout in on Friday. They put on 750 trout in, rainbow and golden. And you know what I think happened? When I say I think this happened, a lot of times what I think happened, I think really happens, because I don't just think of it for no reason. This is based on like several years of fishing these things and then seeing what the bass do when they put these trout in, okay? And I'm pretty sure that when they put those trout on a Friday, when I had tried to fish this place on Thursday before that, I couldn't get anything, nothing, no bass to bite or anything. But I think when they put those trout in, those bass wake up and they start to get active, okay? I really believe that. Anyway, so another thing about the trout is I think those trout kind of move in a group or several large groups or around the lake, right? Because it's almost like I had to wait for the trout to come. They would hit my stuff, and then then almost like clockwork, like in another like 45 minutes or something, I get another. They come again. You know what I mean? So I think they're traveling around, and then they just come across this floating bait and then they grab it or whatever. But anyway, I really do think though that those trout wake those bass up, and you know it's February. It's still super cold water. It'll freeze if it gets in the teens or and even in the 20s, that water we get some skim ice on it, and you can't, you have to wait till later in the afternoon to fish. But anyway, so it's still cold, but those trout wake those bass up. I know it. And they wake, these ones were big. Okay, so it's around, I don't know, an hour later or whatever. I'm throwing this again because it worked, right? And can you believe it? I hook into another big fish. I mean, bigger than the other two. This is bigger than the one I fought. I could feel that when I fought, right? This one is even bigger than that. Okay, so now I'm like thinking like, okay, first of all, I made sure I had a good hook set on it, okay? Because a lot of times on the reaction strike, what happens is you rip it through the grass, right? The lure goes through the grass, the fish grabs it, really, and it happens real quick, and you don't really even have time to set the hook. You can you pull on it real quick, but you're not making like when you feel a fish biting at your lure on the bottom or something, and then you like give it some slack and then you do a big hook set, right? It's not like that. So I made sure he had it. I could tell there was a fish on it. And then I pulled it a little harder to make sure that like I had that in there good. So anyway, I fought this guy for a while, and there were people walking around the lake, and they just happened to be there when I hooked into this thing, and I'm telling them like, man, this thing is big. I mean, I've pulled 5 and 6 pounders out of here no problem before, and I can't get this thing. I could not get this thing. He would get close to the surface. I think I got him maybe like 1 to 2 feet off, below the surface, and he'd like get to the surface. He'd go down again real fast, hard, and you could see him. You could see the line like vibrating in the water. That's how close I had him, right? But I guess like if you think about it, I was thinking like if I was in a kayak or in a boat, right? I can like I'm gonna move my boat. I'm gonna move my boat towards that fish, or my kayak's just naturally gonna go towards that fish as I'm pulling on it, right? So a lot of times, you can get on a boat, you can get close to a fish like this where you can get them that close to the surface, but you can't get them any further, or you're gonna either rip the hook out or whatever, right? And then you can get a net on them, right? But so I'm trying to like fight this thing. I've got it like within rod's length from the riprap where I'm standing, and it's like maybe a foot or two under the water. I could never got an eye on it. We couldn't see it. The water was still that murky that you couldn't even see a foot through the water. And so I'm fighting this thing, right? I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to get him. And then he changes direction. He gets off too. But I fought this thing for a good like 3 or 4 minutes, like trying to get it in. So anyway, that was my experience today. I mean, I got my 4 trout. I tried to get 5, my limit, but it's just like a certain time they just stop biting it. So here's my lesson, right? So I just kind of got a few lures together, right? Because all my stuff's off in a foreign country right now. And I was just trying to get some stuff together to do some fishing, right? Let me tell you what, I normally switch these, you can see these hooks, right? I normally, these hooks aren't bad. They're not great. That's for sure, okay? One good thing about this, if you get these hooks stuck in a wood and you pull really hard and you have really strong line, you can usually get the hook to break off before your line breaks. But normally though, I found in the past I've had big fish and I've lost them with these hooks. So for this size, what I like to do is for this size, the 1/2 ounce, I like to get a bigger hook and a better hook. Okay, these are gamakatsus. These are ones, right? So they're a little bit bigger than what's on here, and they're also, you can see they're the extra wide gap. Okay, so these things are super sharp, and they just seem to hold a fish a little bit better, okay, than these standard hooks. And then for the larger one, the 3/4 ounce red eye shad, I get like a 1/0, okay, a really big, heavy hook. So these things, you know, in sort of in an extra wide gap. These things really, these things will really stick really well. And you know, a lot of times if you get in the mouth, they'll get in there really hard, and the fish can't get it. You know, it's not going to be able to get off them. So what you need to do is do yourself a favor so you don't possibly lose a trophy fish or maybe a personal best, okay? And upgrade your hooks to something a little bit bigger and a little bit better quality on these lipless cranks that I've shown you. Now let me tell you, the 6th Sense Thud, it comes with some oversized extra wide gap hooks on it already. I've never had to replace those, but on these Strike King ones, I always replace them. Except of course today. You know, a lot of my hesitation to do such things is because I know I already have all my tackle, right? But I've already shipped it away. I don't feel like want to buy a bunch of new stuff again. But I'll tell you what, I sure didn't want to lose those fish, man. I'm telling you for sure that at least two of those fish, second 2 fish of the day that I hooked into with this, were probably at least my personal bests, and possibly trophy size fish. I'm serious, okay? I really mean that. I mean, if you look at my intro trailer, you've seen how many fish I've caught. Let me tell you, man, I've caught a lot of those fish on, I've caught 5.5 pound fish on drop shot rigs, you know what I mean? And pulled them from the shore and got them in, okay? So, I mean, I know what I'm doing to the certain extent, okay, as far as like how to handle a rod and get a fish landed. But let me tell you, these fish today were just big. You know, they've been woken up by the trout, and they were on the hunt, man. So do yourself a favor and upgrade those hooks. Well, it was nice talking to you. I had a great day today, even though I didn't land one of those big ones. You know, I brought some fish home, and I broke my skunk, right? So I'm gonna keep going for those fish that I lost today throughout the rest of this month and before I leave. And I look forward to letting you know where I'm going, and then hopefully posting some cool videos in a neat, cool location. Hey, let me just show you this. I've got these, just so you know, and I've never had to fish freshwater with wire leaders, but I got some wire leaders for where I'm going. Okay, I may need them. All right, man. Well, good talking to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you got any questions, please post them below, and I'll get back and answer them. And if you got any pointers, let me know too. I have a medium rod. I think, you know, it's like not one of my primary rods. It's one I've upgraded on, but I may switch to put this reel on a medium power rod, and hopefully go for those fish again with this lipless crank. All right, see ya. Thanks. Bye.